السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته everybody. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. إنا عرضنا الأمانة على السماوات والأرض والجبال فأبين أن يحملنها وأشفقن منها وحملها الإنسان إنه كان ظلوما جهولا. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Salam everybody. Good to see y'all. Very happy to see y'all, wallah. Hope you guys are doing good, staying warm and stuff. Again, Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Today's going to be a very important day. It might be a tiny bit of a review for some of you, but especially with Ramadan coming up. This is not about Ramadan today, so this is not like not to call Ramadan lectures generic, but it's not a generic Ramadan lecture. We're not going to go over Shahrul Ramadan or any of the ayat. We're talking about something very substantial in the Quran. So let me back up a little bit. First of all, if those of you that have been here consistently, you notice I kind of put the story of Musa on the side for a little bit. There's reasons for that. I don't have the material I need to continue that yet, so when I get that, we'll come back to it. If you have issue with that, you can meet me outside and we can fight about it, inshallah, okay? You can throw hands, dude. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, I want to start kind of a little bit of a new series with you guys, which is about, you guys might have read the flyer, what Allah expects from us. The one thing, a couple things I want to say about that before we dive into it today. Number one, it is not going to be what you expect. I would almost assume that if you don't already have education on like what Allah commands and what He wants, like how He defines a good person or the people that earn His love or people of Jannah, I would actually assume I don't know what He expects. I would go into it kind of blind. A lot of the time you'll actually be shocked that the things you were raised thinking were a big deal to Allah are actually a very small deal to Him, and the things that you were raised thinking were a small deal to Allah are actually huge with Him. Are you guys following so far? So you may be surprised in the coming Tanzeel sessions of what Allah actually expects, and it might not actually align with what you've been doing, which will be exciting work for all of us actually. Like you'll find, when I was studying this stuff, I realized I had to change a lot about myself. All the things I thought were making me such a great Muslim weren't even the things that He was actually grading with that high of a score to begin with, you know? So future sessions will look a lot like kind of like lists that Allah has of things that He praises, like, you know, praiseworthy deeds or deeds to avoid, all that kind of stuff. That's coming a little bit later. Before I go into those though, I kind of want to zoom out into, very generally speaking, who are we? Why are we here? What is our purpose? Before we go into specifics. I think a lot of the time, what our community does, oh, Sam Medina, how are you? I think that's my niece. A lot of the time what we end up doing is we hyper focus on a lot of fiqh points, like check the box points, and we completely lose sight of the big picture. Like for example, why is prayer so important? Or why is Ramadan so important? Or what's the big deal about Hajj? Why do I have to go to the desert and go around a box for a couple hours? Why is that important for me to do? And even beyond all of this, why even fulfill Allah's expectations? I want to go over a little bit of that tonight. But I'm gonna feel like all over the place, but I want to actually start at kind of like the beginning of humanity's story and review a couple of things that might be review for some of you, but that's okay, and then I'll get to the point of it, inshallah. Does that make sense? So I want to go kind of to the beginning with this ayah that I've not talked about yet. I'm nervous talking about it, to be honest. It's a really big one. This ayah has such crazy philosophical and theological implications about our deen. Like so much of what it means to be human is actually in this ayah. Of what it even means to be human or to even have a soul, and these type of discussions is actually in this. This is at the end of Surah Al-Ahzab. I don't want to go too much in detail about it. I want to use it as a stepping stone into our story as humanity. Okay, so Bismillah. Allah starts, Inna aradna al-amanata, we have certainly offered the trust. What should be your first question so far? What in the world is al-amana? What is that? What's the trust? That could be anything. A trust, by the way, typically is like when you and I have an agreement on something, you uphold your end of the deal. A marriage is an amana. This, what I'm doing, is an amana between you and me. I need to do the best job that I can. If you work at Dunkin' Donuts, that's an amana. It's actually an amana. Like you have an agreement with your employer that you're going to do certain things, you're not going to cheat them. You know what I mean? If you're a secretary, you can't just leave your office and come back. You're ruining the amana. But what's the amana? What's the trust? We'll talk about that a little bit. We have presented al-amana, the trust, like we've offered it to them. We've presented it to them. عَلَى السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَالْجِبَالِ, onto the skies and the earth and the mountains. فَأَبَيْنَ أَنْ يَحْمِلْنَهَا, and they refuse to carry it. So far, skies, earth, mountains were offered by Allah. Do you want to take this? And they all refused. Abayna could mean to like refuse as in like I don't want any. It could be to refuse as in I'm not capable. Right? Like my car refused to go beyond 200 miles an hour. That doesn't mean it said no, it means it can't. It's not capable of doing that. A lot of our cars, okay? أَنْ يَحْمِلْنَهَا وَأَشْفَقْنَ مِنْهَا, and actually they became terrified. Actually this means, shafaq is to be weak at the knees from fear. Like, you know, like old Scooby-Doo cartoons where like, zoinks, and like the knees start buckling. That's shafaq. That's like a fear, like the fear hits you so deep that your body starts to tremble. So the skies, the earth, and the mountains start to tremble from just even being offered whatever this amana is, this huge deal apparently. They were so afraid that they refused it and they actually became weak because of it. وَحَمَلَهَا الْإِنسَانِ, and the human being immediately took it up. Humanity, when al-insan could be the human being, it could be humanity at large. Humanity were the ones who were like, I'll do it. Everything else was scared. By the way, something you should know. In Quran especially, when Allah says samawati wal ard, a lot of the times that's just kind of like an idiom for not an idiom, but a saying that means everything. Like we offered this to all of creation. Everything that Allah made that we know about and don't know about got this offer, this job offer, essentially. And they're all like, heck no, we're not touching that. And the human being is the only one's like, I'll do that. وَحَمَلَهَا الْإِنسَانِ, the human being, by the way, hamal is an interesting word, to carry something. Meaning there's a burden. Like when you carry a backpack, it's necessarily something weighing you down. The human being carried it. إِنَّهُ كَانَ ظَلُومًا جَهُولًا, something that we don't have time to talk about today, but I do want to mention. Certainly he has been dhaloom. Dhaloom is it's a hard word to translate. What I put here, extremely wrongful. We'll go with that. Someone who constantly messes up, constantly misplaces things, puts them where they don't belong. Jahula, and ignorant, erratic. Someone that doesn't have control over their emotions is a jahil. You guys have heard jahil before. You've been called jahil by your moms. You guys know what jahil means. Jahil is someone who can't control, like almost like an animal. Like if they're upset, they bite. That's it. There is no guard at the door at their brain telling them like, yo, relax a little bit. They just follow their emotions. That's jahil. Jahul is like that on steroids. Like ADHD, Gen A, iPad kids. Like jahul. You know what I mean? They want something, they must have it. That's jahul. Okay? I want to say that, talk about this really fast. Does this mean that Allah is criticizing them for carrying it? Allahu alam, probably not. This might be a comment on how they're doing so far with whatever this amana is. It's like the report card so far. You know how like you have midterms? Like so far they're the dhaloom and jahul. They're wrongful and they're ignorant. That's how they're doing so far. What is this amana? This amana is this is kind of what I want the topic to be today. It's a really big deal. I really want you guys to pay attention even if it's a review. Even if I don't do a good job today, I want that to be irrelevant today. Because this is kind of everything. This ayah is kind of everything as to who are we and why are we here. Is this word, this thing that we hamilna, that we carry, that we decided to carry, it goes back to this word. And I want to make sure that we have a good understanding of it, especially with the month of Ramadan to come. Al-amana, there's a lot of discussion about it. I don't want to go into that discussion. Let's just go straight to the point. Al-amana is kind of summarized by most scholars, and it makes sense, to be the same thing that Adam was offered, or that Adam was created for. If you guys remember, we talked about that story a while back of Adam alayhi salam, that he was given a very specific title. Like when Allah created, before Adam was even given life, there was an announcement made, I'm going to make a blank on the earth. Who remembers what that word was? Oh, some of you pay attention. That was a while ago too. Allah, I'm impressed. Khalifa. A Khalifa is someone that, there's a couple characteristics of a Khalifa. It's not a rapper. It's someone who, it's not the Wiz variety Khalifa, there's another Khalifa. A Khalifa is someone who is entrusted with something, has free will to make decision, meaning they can decide to uphold the trust or not uphold the trust. Someone who's in charge. It's actually someone who's in charge that has the same qualities as the owner. So like if you open up the 75th coffee shop in the area, I know someone in here is thinking about that already, but if you open up coffee shop number 75 in this like 5-mile radius, and you don't want to be at that coffee shop every day because you have other stuff you want to do, so who will you hire? A manager. Well, an employee, but a manager. A business manager. That business manager, you would only give that title to someone you trust, someone that cares about coffee or whatever as much as you do, or at least about your business as much, that would treat your assets the same way that you would, that understands the game like you do, that is motivated to take care of the shop the way you would be if you were there. Does that mean? Obviously, that's just good business, right? If that person fits that qualification, they kind of match the same qualities as the owner, they're as motivated as the owner, they're as capable as the owner would be, the title you would give to that person in Arabic is a Khalifa. A Khalifa. We offered this title of Khilafa to all of creation, and the only one that stood up and took it was who? Us. A couple things that go into this amana, this trust. Number one, it's free will. They have the capacity to know what's wrong and still do it, and know what's right and reject it, to know the truth and to deny it. They know what they're doing. They're conscious enough to know what they're doing. Otherwise, they don't have a trust because they're not. Like if you sign a contract under 18, it doesn't count. It's nullified, right? Or like if you're like mentally unstable, if you sign a contract, it's nullified. It doesn't matter because you weren't in a state that you can understand. So this trust is the free will, the responsibility, and in general, also the thing I'll add here is revelation itself. I'll boil it down to two main things: free will and revelation. The ability to decide for yourself. There is no chain on you. You can do whatever you want. That's free will, right? As we know, for example, down here on planet Earth, the law of Allah, that's the generic law of Allah, is something we call cause and effect, generally. That's how the world works. If you stab someone, they bleed. If I let go of my left hand, the phone falls. That's 90% of the time how Allah allows that just to kind of happen, right? So free will is the amana paired with, what did I say again? Revelation. The thing that we agreed to carry actually before we were even a thing was actually Quran. Free will and Quran. That becomes the topic of today, which is our purpose. That becomes our purpose. You have the story of Adam alayhi salam, and I don't want to go over that story. I want to zoom into a specific part of that story that we witnessed ourselves. In that story, and you guys know generically that story, I hope a little bit, right? Allah created Adam, presented to the angels. The angels like, what is this? We don't think it's a good idea. Allah says, I know what you don't know. He's told, don't eat from the tree. Shaitan whispers, he ate from the tree. They get kicked out. Generally, that's not everything, but that's the synopsis, okay? Along the lines in that story, there's a scene where Allah teaches Adam a bunch of stuff. And in that scene, all of humanity, including you and I, were actually there. There's hints in the language to actually suggest that he was taught the names of even you, of me, of my child, of my wife, of my father, of my mother. Our names, our qualities, who we are as human beings, meaning we were all actually present watching that entire story of Adam and Iblis unfold the entire time. You know what's significant about that though, that I want to zoom in on? Before we were put into this body, this is a review for some, but it's okay. Pay attention, please. Before this soul, I'm going to use the word soul for now. Before your soul, your ruh, was put into this body, it was actually in the presence of Allah for we don't even know how long. And who remembers what the ruh is made of? Who can remind me? Just say light. And it's almost like we were like basking in the light of Allah. Almost like, you know how you download from a server onto your laptop, right? Like when you download like whatever, like a game from Steam or something, it comes from Steam servers onto your laptop, right? And now you have a copy of the original, but the original is not on your laptop. The original is where? On the Steam servers or whatever, on like the original service. Allah is the original. Allah is the first, and Allah is the last. And He has certain attributes that I know you guys know already. He's the most wise, and He's the judge, and He's the loving, and He's the merciful, and He's the caring, and He's the one that discerns, and He's the first, and He's the last. And He has all these qualities. And actually, when we were in His presence, we were downloading, to a certain extent, His qualities. So that love that you feel is actually from Allah. That feeling you get when you see a mangled corpse in Gaza is because you have a little bit of Al-Hakim, that judge, in you. And you know that's wrong. You know that's not right. You have these beautiful divine qualities because of that moment of you being in front of Allah before you were put before your mother was a thing, let alone in the womb of your mother. Does that make sense so far? Also in that story, just to add on to this a little bit, in that story, Allah says, وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. Allah taught Adam the names, all of them. And now the names could be like literally 4 or 5 different things. One idea that I heard from Mufti Abu Layth actually, that you and I learned together I think the other day, that it is the names of Allah Himself. Meaning all of humanity in that moment got a lesson in who Allah is. And from that lesson, we now have I would argue we now have our personalities. For example, let me think of someone. My dad's a really rough guy. I love my dad. You met my dad. He's rough. He's almost like he's too rough. He doesn't really hold back, okay? I'm so not like my dad, if you know me. I'm not that bad at least. Okay? He's not bad, but I'm not that bad. Okay. Maybe for me, the attribute of Allah that my ruh downloaded more so had more to do with the loving. Or the clear. I love clarity. Clarity, I think, is my biggest joy in life, is clarity. I love clarity. When I'm able to make sense of something, it's the best feeling. It's like I love it. It's like my purpose. It's my favorite thing. I got that from Allah. My dad, it's more justice, power. Yeah? Al-Qawi. That's more like his mold. You know what I mean? Where did he get that from? He got that from Allah. The reason why we are so distinct is because we likely appreciated different things from Allah that we got when we were in His presence. Does that make sense so far? Okay. That leads me to this. The word ruh, what does it mean? This is really interesting, guys. Listen to this. The word ruh, what does it mean? Okay. There's something else that Allah actually uses. There's actually 3 things, but there's another one. There's the second one that I'm looking for. Allah uses the word ruh for the soul, but He actually uses that same word ruh for something else. Who knows what it is? I'm not thinking of Jibreel, by the way, because it's that too, but I'll put that aside. There's actually a third one. Anyone know? It's actually Quran. Allah actually calls Quran, what again? Ruh. He literally gave these 2 things the same name. The thing that makes you you, and the Quran were literally given the same name. They're both made of the same thing actually. Quran is literally nur. Allah calls it nur. And in our ruh is also made of what? Nur. That's why that famous ayah that but you've heard, nurun ala nur, you've heard that ayah before? That's what that is. The nur of Quran hitting the nur that's in your chest, and that spiritual chemical reaction happening, Allah calls nurun ala nur. That's what that is. You know what that means for us though? I'll explain it to Surah Ar-Rahman. You guys might be familiar with Surah Ar-Rahman a little bit. Allah opens up that surah. It's a beautiful surah. With Ar-Rahman, Allah opens up with His name, the unimaginably extremely loving and caring. Listen to the order that He says these things. Listen to this. The second thing He says is Allama al-Quran. So Ar-Rahman, Allama al-Quran, which means He taught the Quran. And the third thing He says is Khalaqa al-Insan. And then He created humanity. You would expect that order to be flipped, wouldn't you? He created humanity and then He taught the Quran. Wouldn't you expect that? Because to teach us, that would mean that we exist and we're here. Right or wrong? You know one argument that you can make out of that? We have this idea in our head that we were put on earth and then Allah sent down revelation that fits us. Right? Like the revelation fits us. It's made for us. When actually this might be hinting to the fact that it's the opposite. Quran came first, and you and I were actually created to match it. It was not the other way around. I'll repeat myself. Quran was, let's say, created for the sake of argument. Quran was there first, at least I'll say that confidently. Quran was there first, and then we were created, and we were actually made to fit the mold of what? Quran. Our purpose and Allah's revelation, right now for us it's Quran, for the people before it's the Injil, the Torah, or the Zabur, or whatever, right? That was the revelation in general. But I want to talk about us here now, 2026, yeah? That for us it's the Quran. Our purpose, meaning the thing in here that drives us to purpose, the thing in your heart that drives you to purpose, and the Quran are actually not even inseparable. You actually could not be purposeful without the Quran, because you're literally defined by it. How could you define purpose without Quran? How could you find purpose without Allah? You know that thing, I keep saying this ayah because I think it's probably the most profound in the book, where Allah says, He talks about الَّذِينَ نَسُوا اللَّهَ فَأَنْسَاهُمْ أَنفُسَهُمْ. People that forgot Allah, so Allah made them forget who they are. He made them forget themselves. You would expect Allah to say, they forgot Allah, so Allah forgot them. That's not what He said. He said, they forgot Allah, so He literally deleted from their brain who they even are. Because how in the world can you know who you are without Quran? How could you know who you are, what I'm trying to say is, without Allah? How could you know? You couldn't know. You know what Allah says about people? That we talked about this before too? He says about people that are in darkness, إِذَا أَخْرَجَ يَدَهُ لَمْ يَكَدْ يَرَاهَا. Remember this? If they take out their hand, they're in such darkness, they're in such deep darkness, that if they take out their own hand in front of them, they can't even see it. They can't even make out the shape of their own hand. They can barely see it. You know what that's kind of saying? By the way, the hand in Quran is representative of your deeds, which is who you are essentially. You are what you do. What he's saying there is, they don't even know who they are anymore. When they're in that kind of darkness, they don't even know who they are. The thing I want to bring to your attention today is, you know what, I'll introduce it like this. It's a story that embarrasses me a little bit, but it's okay. When I was studying in Texas, one time Ustaz the man came to class and he actually taught us directly. He didn't usually teach us, but he taught us one day specifically. And I had a question that I've been thinking about for a while, because I had recently learned about Quran and its impact on the world. Like Quran had a really profound impact on humanity when it dropped. It changed everything. Like even Harvard, by the way, I think in its like one of its libraries, I forgot, it might be the main library or like the law school library. Actually, it has a bunch of what it deems to be the most important quotes in humanity about justice, and front and center is actually an ayah from Quran. They actually deem that to be like the unequivocal, like the quintessential, you know what I mean, representative of justice. Is actually they got it from an ayah in Quran. So this thing changed everything. And in my mind, I ask dumb questions all the time, and I'm like, what's the big deal? Why did it change everything? You know, because you can say that all you want, right? We know Quran's a miracle, Quran's a big deal. But I was like, okay, but why? Like, what about it is a big deal? So I went up and I asked him that question, and he looked at me like I was crazy. I walked up and I'm like, what's the big deal about Quran? And he gave me a look like I shouldn't have asked that. And then he said one word. He said, purpose. And I didn't get it then, and I think I get it now. The point of Quran is purpose. The Quran gives purpose. Without purpose, you're wandering in the dark. Without purpose, you're miserable. Without purpose, you can run after any semblance of happiness that you want, and you will never actually feel fulfilled. The Quran is the only thing that will actually fulfill you, that will show you who you are. And when it shows you who you are, it will actually make you upset. It might make you angry. I can actually almost guarantee it will make you angry. It's made me angry before. It might make you sad. It might make you happy. It's supposed to make you happy, unless you're messed up like me, but whatever. It's supposed to actually make you happy. But it will both expose you and illuminate you. That's actually, I don't understand the motivation of not reading Quran being laziness or I'm not interested. That's a weird motivation. If you actually knew what this thing was, for your motivation to be I'm not interested is wild. You know what you should replace at least that motivation with for not reading Quran? That you should be afraid. You should be afraid of what it shows you, of what it would mean to you when it sheds light on you. If you have any reason to not read, it should be fear of that, because that's a scary journey for any human being to go down. Would you agree? Now, I want to talk about purpose today. That's what I want to speak about. I'm speaking about how The only way that this ruh can actually fulfill and understand its purpose is through Quran. These two things are, now I hope we see that they're tied together, yes? You guys see that? Okay. When talking about purpose, this is me talking, I might be wrong. In fact, a lot of things that I just said I might be wrong, but I'm very confident about them. Okay. There are two types of purpose in my brain. In my monkey brain, there's two types of purpose, okay? My monkey brain argues that the first type of purpose is a purpose that we all collectively share as humanity. It's very simple, black and white. There is no one exempt from this purpose. And that is the very famous ayah, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونِ. I only created jinn and mankind so that they enslave themselves to me. They have a chain around their neck and they should give that chain to no one else but me, nothing else but me. That's your purpose. You should put me and me alone at the center of your life. Nothing else should be at the center. That's our purpose. Following so far? I think I don't need to explain that one. I think that one makes sense. Okay. The second one is what I want to talk more about today. And I'll connect the two. The second one of my monkey brain is a purpose specific to you. A purpose specific to you. A purpose specific to me. There's a couple of ayat I want to talk about that actually expose what I'm trying to tell you here. Allah, for example, says, "Qul," meaning tell the Prophet. He's telling the Prophet to say, "Kullun ya'malu ala shakilatihi." Everyone should work, or everyone works based on their predisposition. You know what a shakil is? Shakila. You know what a shakila is? A shakila is a mold. Like, you know how like blacksmiths. You guys don't know what blacksmiths are. Do you guys know, like a 3D printer? Okay, that's better. I'm like thinking about blacksmiths like it's the freaking 1700s. A 3D printer. Like, have you guys ever, who's printed something on a 3D printer before? You know how you need like the file, right? And then you mess up 1,000 times and then eventually you get it to work, right? That file is the shakila. That's the mold. That's the thing that what you're printing is based off of, okay? You know what this means? This is Allah actually saying that every human being has a responsibility to do deeds and to find purpose through whatever their nature is. At the end of the day, your nature will dominate. Meaning there are some people whose nature is they're very loving. And maybe they find purpose in that being loving. Some people, they're extremely tough and they find purpose in that. Some people, they don't have many skills, but they're amazing mothers or they're amazing fathers. That's their shakila. Some people, their shakila is they're just like nice to everybody. Some people, their shakila, they're just predisposed. They cannot sleep if there's a stomach that's empty. Some people are into the sciences. Some people are into the arts. Some people make music. Some people, they like technology. Some people are comedians. Some people, whatever. Everyone's got their own shakila. None of these shakilas are incorrect. It's a mold that, by the way, where did the shakila come from, by the way? Who can remind me? That came from him. When you were in his presence, that's where, by the way, you know what's interesting? Why I connect these two things, why I argue at least the ruh is where your personality comes from. This ayah, قُلْ كُلٌّ يَعْمَلُ عَلَى شَاكِلَتِهِ, is in Surah Qasut al-Isra, Surah number 17. You know what the very next ayah is? وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الرُّوحِ. And they ask you about the ruh. So there's something connected between the ruh and who you are and what your nature is as you as an individual, actually. Yeah? There's an example that Allah gives. I've been really excited to share this one with you. I think, for me, it changed a lot the way I see people and the way I see myself. So listen to this. وَفِي الْأَرْضِ قِطَعٌ مُتَجَاوِرَاتٌ. And in the land are barks of tree that are right next to each other. You ever see like trees that almost, they make like a wall you can't even see between them? You know what I mean? Like they're like an army almost of trees. قِطَعٌ مُتَجَاوِرَاتٌ وَجَنَّاتٌ مِنْ أَعْنَابٍ. And gardens of grapevines. Notice how they're kind of opposite, right? Like one is, like I almost think of an army when I think of trees right next to each other like that, like making a wall. It's kind of like that movie 300, and they're locking arms or whatever in their tights. You know, remember that? Yeah. And then Jannatu Ma'anab is like the opposite, the most fragile plant. You ever grow grapes before? They're the most annoying thing to grow. They're so weak. They literally actually, to grow, they need to be around like a stick. They can't grow on their own. You need to have them grow around like a trellis. And they die, like a little bit of wind, they're like, oh no, and they fall over and die. They're so weak. It's like opposites. By the way, does one necessarily produce food? No. Does the other one produce food? Yeah, interesting. It's like very different so far. وَزَرْعٌ. and all sorts of crop. وَنَخِيلٌ and palm trees. صِنْوَانٌ وَغَيْرُ صِنْوَانٍ. Sinwan is like when a tree grows and it kind of like grows into multiple trunks. You ever see one of those before? Like a tree that grows and it's not just one trunk, it's like a bunch. وَغَيْرُ صِنْوَانٍ, the one that stands alone. يُسْقَى. The imagery so far that you should be thinking of is like just like a forest full of different fruit, or like a garden full of different fruits and different trees and different. You get the idea so far? Like here, you can think of, especially with zar'un being included here, you could think of like there's cotton plants, there's cactuses, there's blueberries, there's potatoes, there's plants that grow above ground, there's plants that grow below ground, there's plants that produce food, there's plants that produce medicine, there's plants that their purpose is, like you can make clothes out of them. There's plants, their purpose is you mash them up and now you can paint with them. You get the idea? Like, it's so many different purposes, so many different plants. Like, if it's so different, in fact, that if you were to take one of our plants and plant them in like the rainforest, it'll probably die. It can't handle that ecosystem. It must be here to do its job. You guys following me so far? What does Allah say that kind of ties this up? يُسْقَى بِمَاءٍ وَاحِدٍ. All of these various plants, but they're all fed with one water. They don't all need a different type of H2O. It's all H2O. The same water that makes a cactus grow in the desert is the same water that's watering your lilies in your garden. It's the same water that are growing bananas in Guatemala or whatever. Same water. There's no chemical difference. And you guys should know by now, if you come here often enough, that when Allah talks about water, He's not talking about water. What's He talking about? Quran. It's kind of like, again, me and you. There are some people that they're like, قِطَّعٌ مُتَجَاوِرَاتٍ. Yeah, they're like men of fighting men. And there are some that are more business inclined, like jannatun min a'nab. Or maybe they're just sweeter or kinder or softer. There was literally a dude in the time of the Prophet. You would imagine, like if you study a little bit of Sirah, the Sahaba were all really big, burly men. You would imagine in your head. Actually, that's not the case. There was actually one, Jamad, if you're here, you might actually remind me the name. There was one Sahaba, may Allah be pleased with him, that was so afraid of fighting that he would actually hide with the women and children. Don't laugh. That's a Sahaba. He's better than you and I by 1,000 miles, so please don't laugh. Get on his level, then laugh, actually. Yeah? Me too, bro. Me too, Allah. He hid, and no one shamed him, by the way. The Prophet did not shame him, because he knows this plant, this shakila, is not for that job. He, in his wisdom, understood that, because he had this Quran. He knew how to view people correctly. It's like, people have this idea about, I think because of how we run our community sometimes, not just us, but like Muslims in general, that religious people sort of all end up the same. Just mean-looking people, you know what I mean? Like, they kind of all look the same, act the same, they all dress the same. It's like they have an email list of like, white kufi, white thobe, yeah bro, white thobe, yeah, let's go with the classic. You know what I mean? Oh, Amr's not here, he's in Umrah, make dua for him. He sent me, Abdurrahman, one of your YouTube shorts. I was posted, for some reason he posted me, and then someone made a comment, brother, you should put on a kufi and a thobe, Because sorry, you're right there. You see that? Because I'm not what he expects, because apparently we should all look the same. But no, actually, what we're learning here is, you would not expect, I'll tell you, Einstein, do you know that famous quote? If you expect a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it'll live its whole life thinking it's stupid. You ever hear that quote before? Yeah. I'll say it again. If you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it'll live its whole life thinking it's stupid. You're judging jannatu min a'nab on nakhilun standards. That's not how this works. Allah purposefully gave us different shakilas, very different arwah, very different souls. Now here comes the work. The job now becomes, I'm hoping you're following me here now, because we're not talking about this for fun. The job now, your purpose now, the thing you should be actively thinking about for the rest of your life now, is what I'm trying to tell you, is what in the world is my purpose? I understand I have to put Allah, that's across the board. In fact, forget this conversation forget number two if you don't have number one. There is no number two if you don't have number one. Am I making sense? Your shakila is null and void if you don't put Allah in the center of your life. There is no shakila. It doesn't matter. Okay? Am I clear? Okay. When that's in order, then your mission in life, and by the way, you don't have this figured out now? Guess what? I don't have it figured out now. I think I do, but I might be wrong. I might change my mind tomorrow. But your mission in life becomes, what is my purpose in this moment? What did Allah put me here to do? What shakila did He give me? Who am I? What qualities do I have? You guys, a lot of you, because a lot of you are very young, you guys are coming to an age that psychologists call differentiation. You start to differentiate yourself from your mother and from your father and realize, oh snap, I'm a different person. I'm not them. I don't have to be like them. I'm myself. I can do what I want. Around the age of, I think for Americans, probably even later, it's probably around 20 or something, right, that we end up thinking this way. But the point is, you are coming to an age where you start to at least be able to explore and learn, who am I as an individual? Allah, I think, is giving us a message here that we are supposed to deeply and consistently think about that and think, what is Allah trying to get me to? What am I here to do? What am I here to do? My dad is, I talk about him a lot. I should look into that. I talk about him a lot. My dad's a contractor. You know what a contractor is? Like, he's like he'll like renovate houses and like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I used to go to work with him. I hated it. Like, you know, like I'm really bad at it, wallah. I'm getting to a point here. Like, he can do like outside landscaping, and like if there's like something broken, he can fix it. Or like if you want to renovate your entire whatever building or house, he can demolish and put a new one. And he's amazing at it. Okay, he used to take me to work. He used to get mad at me. All right, because I suck at it. It's not my shakila. I'm like my brother Bara. It was so, he would like immediately done, and like he would hammer down or whatever. For me, I couldn't hold a hammer right. I swear to God. 10 years I'm working with this man, and I'm still like, you know, still missing. And like by the time I get one nail, Bara's got a whole piece of drywall on the wall. I'm like, this isn't me. Like, I can't do this. But man, if you put me in the room with another individual for like 2 hours, I can understand them and even maybe show them some things they didn't understand about themselves. I can do that. That I can do. I can do that. I'm also really good at Halo. I can do those two things. I'm not even that good at Halo, to be honest. But I can kind of do Halo. So 1.5 things I'll take. Yeah? I'm 32. You know how long it took me to realize that, by the way? I learned that 2025. That's where I'm like, okay, I got it now. What I'm trying to tell you with that is, you guys need to consistently go. I started this journey 10 years ago. And I think I have it figured out now. I think I know what I should be doing. I think it's this. Yeah? And I might be wrong. You know, let me put it this way. This purpose, the first one, I don't need to point, you guys can see. The first one is sort of like, it's like a tattoo. You cannot remove that one. You can remove tattoo. You get the idea though. It's etched in you. There is no removing that one. That one is unchangeable. It doesn't matter if you're sick on a Tuesday, you're a slave of Allah. Sorry. Good luck with that. That's what you got, okay? The second one though is kind of like, you can remove like it's kind of like not a sticker, but like one of those like Velcro patches. You can remove one and be like, you know what, I think it's actually this. Or today I think it's this. Or like, I'm a really good doctor, but for this next month my mother needs me, so my doctor purpose is coming off and my need to be a good son purpose is going on my chest now. That's my purpose now. Your purpose, essentially, what I'm saying is, your purpose is whatever's in front of you at the moment. That's what your purpose is. If you got nothing, if you have nothing, you have no idea about yourself. If the garbage is full, your purpose is take out the trash. That's your purpose. That's your purpose. If you work at Dunkin' Donuts, that's your purpose right now. You need to be a good employee. Whatever it is you're doing, you have a responsibility to do it better than everyone else as much as you can. I don't care what it is. Whether you have a business, whether you're a doctor, whether you're in construction, whether you work at whatever, Dunkin', whether you're in it does not matter. Whatever it is that you do, whether, by the way, am I saying it has to be an official job with a degree? Absolutely not. You know, I'll point one person out. I hope she doesn't get mad at me. There are like people in my mind, two people, both of them women, unironically, both of them women, that I feel like they are people of Quran. They are people of purpose. Like I look at them and I'm like, that's it. That they're doing it right. Everyone else has it wrong, and these two women have it right. In my mind. I might be wrong, but I don't think I am. These two, okay? Number one is Ustad Norma Tarbush. She is like a walking Quran in her character, in her business ethics, in her intelligence. She's an accountant that has a Quran school. It's like the most amazing combination ever. It's awesome, wallah. And the second one is Lina Talib. I think Lina absolutely understands the assignment. Like she took that amana and ran with it. She has no confusion in her mind. That woman has a network of feeding people. Like if you're hungry, you know to reach out to Lina Talib. Talk about a freaking shakina, man. Like she gets it. She's not confused about her purpose. She found it. And she does a lot more than that, by the way, mind you. She does a lot more than, I'm not reducing her down, although that's probably one of the biggest things she does anyway, in terms of like the weight of the deeds. But man, she figured something out. She took the knowledge that she has, the revelation that Allah gave her, and she mixed it with her mold that Allah gave her, and now she does good that I don't think I could ever catch up to that woman. In my if I worked every day, I couldn't catch up to her. That's who she, because she's now a woman of Quran, i.e. a woman of purpose. That's who she is. That's who she is. And may she die that way. May she die that way. You know, I want to tell you something. In our country, in our day and age, the main topic, actually here, you guess, the main topic of discussion when it comes to therapy or mental health or psychiatric drugs or whatever, what do you think everyone wants out of any of this stuff? What's the goal? Who said happiness? Thank you. Happiness. What an awful goal. Wallahi, what a terrible goal. What a stupid goal. That should not be enough for any believer. Sorry, Adina. I can't say the S word. She gets mad at me. Khana, you're not supposed to say that. Every time. It's STUPID, okay? It's not a good goal. It's not enough. It should not be enough for a believer to, I want to be happy. It's like sand. It's like holding dry sand in your hand. You will never actually hold that long enough to actually experience happiness. There is no therapist, there is no Pilates class, there is no video game, movie, hobby that can keep you happy enough for you to be satisfied. It will never happen. I can guarantee you, if anything other than Allah is at the center of your life, you're not going to hold on to it long term. You know what does make you happy, by the way? Happiness becomes a byproduct of this thing. Like if you do this thing, happiness will just come automatically. You don't have to think about it. It'll just be there. You could be living a very bleak life, a very miserable life, and happiness will be there like, hey, what up, dude? Every single time, consistently. You know what kind of people have that? People of purpose. If you wake up in the morning and you understand a purpose for yourself, I'm telling you, your marriage can be failing, your family can disown you, you can be ill, you can be bankrupt, you can have 4 broken limbs, and you will be happy. Because you are clear on your purpose. You are absolutely clear. Allah put me here and I'm going to do this with it. Ya Allah, if there's anything better to do, I'll do that. But right now I'm doing this. I make that dua often, by the way, for this program. Ya Allah, if there's something better for me to do, then end this and take me to that thing. Because this is not the point. This is not the point. The point is finding purpose. That's the point. Whatever Allah wants me to do, that's what I want to do. If it happens to be this, then great. And if it's not this, then I'm out. That's the attitude we're supposed to have. That's the attitude. What I'm saying is, when you live this purposeful life, and you figure out what that means for you, happiness will be a necessary byproduct. But not before. Like, forget Jannah. I'm not even talking about Jannah. Forget Jannah. Like, put that to the wayside. You know, I think it was Abu Bakr. I might be wrong, wallah. I think it was Abu Bakr who said this. He said that no one may enter Jannah until they enter Jannah first. You ever hear that before? No one may enter Jannah until they enter Jannah first. It's very beautiful. You know what he means by that? It's as if anything and anywhere outside the company of Allah and finding purpose through Allah is just hell on earth. It's not enough. And feeling like you are doing what He expects of you, that is a paradise that like you can die happy. And then the other paradise, of course, is like a shoo-in and another happy coincidence, another happy not consequence. But man, I'm talking about happiness here, not even happiness now. Happiness here comes from purpose. And what I'm saying there, by the way, also is happiness here actually comes from Quran. That's also what I'm saying. You guys follow? You guys are not separating that from the picture here, right? Ruh and Quran. There is no separating these two things. What I'm going to do, I want to do something with you guys today. It's something that I usually do with like clients when I meet them, but I want to do it with you a little bit. Before that though, let me give you like a 2-minute break. Go get coffee, fight people if you want, and then come back, and we'll finish, okay? But 9:15, we're back in seats, yeah? Inshallah. Okay, go ahead. All right, I want to present you guys something. I might be wrong. One thing I think a lot about from Quran is like what makes a human, and trying to apply that to my work as a therapist. So I want to. This isn't 100% me. This is what I'm going to present to you is kind of influenced by a couple of things. There's like a mode of therapy called like internalized family systems. Surah Al-Shams and Ayat An-Nur were a really big inspiration. And then another minor inspiration from Ustaz or Dr. Abdurrahman Rothman, who had something similar to this, but I don't like the way that he concluded it. So I don't use a lot of his stuff. But I like him though. I respect a lot of what he does. But I want to really like super simplify it for you, okay? I want you to imagine in your head, and you need to imagine because this picture is terrible. All right? I'm not even going to pretend like I didn't have time to do it. I did. I'm really bad at this. This is not my shakila, you know what I'm saying? So use your imagination because this picture will not ignite anything. Okay. I want you to imagine. Oh, and I put the things in the wrong order too. That's okay. I want you to imagine that there's a meeting taking place. Like you can imagine like on a big round table. You can imagine like this kind of meeting where people are in chairs and looking up at the front. It doesn't matter. But there's a meeting taking place, yeah? And everyone in the meeting is passionate about something. They all want something. I didn't discuss the purpose of the meeting yet. I'll get there in a minute, okay? Ignore the left for a little bit. Actually, I don't want to use this. You guys have this in your head, yes? Okay. There was one person in charge of the meeting. Like he might be sitting in the front, or she might be sitting in the front, or they're sitting at the end of the round table, or they're on a podium. It does not matter. But you have this image of someone in charge and then a bunch of other people yapping, right? That's what I want you to imagine so far, okay? The decision goes, ultimately is whose? The person in charge, okay? Other people might have very, passionate ideas. They might disagree. They might, whatever, be very annoyed in the meeting, or they might like feel like they don't have a voice, or they may feel silenced, or they may feel empowered. It does not matter. At the end of the day, who's in charge? The person in charge is in charge. The manager's in charge, we can say, okay? This meeting is actually taking place 24/7 within you. Well, I'm going to actually say specifically in your heart. And the person in charge is the ruh. Your ruh is in charge, or at least it's supposed to be. It's sitting in that chair. This entire relationship of like the ruh being in charge and other aspects of who you are, almost like arguing and wanting things, that entire thing has a word. That entire meeting has a word in the Quran, and that word is a nafs. That conflict, nafasa, by the way, literally to compete. That's what that word literally means in a certain sigha or whatever, yeah? But that meeting, we're going to give it one name. What's that name again? Nafs. Okay. I want to dissect this a little bit. This ruh, where did it come from? Actually, forget the ruh. The rest of it, ignore the white for a little bit. Where did this come from? This is of the body. This is your mind. This is your experience as a human being. This is because you were dropped as a head when you were little or something. I don't know. This is because of that traumatic event that you experienced, or because you lost a parent when you were younger, or because you were given a lot of praise when you were younger, or because you went to a really nice school, or because you're lactose intolerant. And a lot of these different things that make you you all kind of go into this amalgamation of this nafs, this body thing. A lot of your experiences. Yeah? If you take this alone, we're basically animals. Like, there's actually some truth to what Freud says when he says that we're basically just advanced animals. That argument that's been being kind of like out there for the past 100 or so years, that's a little bit true actually. But there's one element that Allah installed in this nafs that makes us a lot more than that. That this is the thing that makes us human beings. And what is that element again? That is the ruh. You guys following so far? This thing gives us a capacity to not just follow whatever it is these people in our meeting are trying to tell us to do. Maybe one of them, for example, like whatever, they really want to smoke weed or something. I don't know. I'm being stupid and picking anything. Yeah, like they're like I need it. I'm fiending, bro. Like whatever. And the ruh is the one that's going to be like, we're not doing that. You have to find something else. I literally, someone explained it this way. The nafs is kind of like a spoiled kid. Please, please, please. Like that. They keep shouting for stuff. That's kind of what a nafs is. But I'm kind of dissecting it more because it's more complicated. There's so many parts of us that go into who we are. And I want to actually talk about this. What goes into what makes our nafs? There's like 4 main things I can think of. Number 1 is actually things that we do that are wrong. I'll go back to that in a little bit. Number 2, it could be trauma. Something that happened to you that's like a traumatic memory. Yeah. We almost like, we kind of carry those memories with us and they become a part of us. The third one is beliefs. Someone wrote an article about this that I read that I really liked. She talked about Santa Claus. You know what she said? It's very, very cool the way it's not what you think it's about. It's not like a religious thing. Like, hear me out. She was saying it's incredible. Like, imagine like a 5-year-old kid. And their mom was like, yeah, like your presents came from Santa. Santa's like this really big guy and he wears a red, jacket and he flies all over the world and delivers presents and he keeps track of all the good deeds and bad deeds you do. And he has a reindeer with a red nose in the front. And the kid is like, does the kid ever question it? He's like, oh, okay. There is no system of like, Mom, are you okay? Do you need to sit down? Will a 5-year-old really think about that? No. Or like maybe younger, 4 or 3. Will they ever really question their mother or their father? No. It's amazing how they'll just take it. There is no, how does that make sense? There is no system of how does that make sense. You guys following me so far? You know what she connected that to? She's like, what about the other beliefs that our parents gave us? Think about this, wallah. Like, I talk to people who their parents either directly or indirectly convinced them that they were useless. Convinced them. And now up here, what is the belief? I'm useless. There are parents that convince their kids you're ugly. They convince them either directly or indirectly, either on purpose or not, or just by the consequence of other actions that they do. So that little boy, that little girl will grow up, and what is their belief now? I'm ugly. By the way, do these have to be negative things? No, but unfortunately, a lot, especially in our community, most of the time they a little bit are negative from what I'm seeing so far. Yeah, they're usually not that great, unfortunately. I met, I think, the best father I ever met today. Like, his kid praised him when he wasn't in the room. I don't think I've seen that in a kid so far in our community that I've seen in therapy, which is, I just realized that that's really depressing. I've yet to see a kid be like, I was like, rank your family members. Not rank them, but like, who are you closest to? He's like, my dad. I've never heard that. It's always a friend or a cousin or the TV. It's never Baba, ever. It's really interesting. But anyway, you get the idea. And the last one I'll say here is our systems or our environment. I don't know why I put it like that. My OCD is going off. My systems or environment. I'll give you an example of this. We talked about colonialism last time. Like, when the system convinces you that you are inferior, you will grow. Undocumented people feel this a lot, by the way. especially when they're a child and they realize they're undocumented. And then, like, I know someone who their mom, when they were little, would convince them, like, if you don't get straight A's, you're going to get deported. And you think that's funny? He's constant panic attacks now. Constant. And he's not 5 anymore. He's freaking pushing 40. Constant panic attacks. Like, that's still there. You understanding me? And he's documented now, but it's still there. That system, people telling him that he's quote unquote illegal, is still there. You guys following me so far? I'll give you another one that Yaqub brought up the other day. That's interesting. Our fathers came here, and what was the motivation? And our mothers came here. What was the motivation for our fathers and mothers to come to America back in the day, or your grandpa, or whoever you are? I'm first generation. What was the main motivation? Huh? Yeah, which really we're saying comfort, wealth. Is that necessarily a bad thing? No, not necessarily. But you know what kind of came with that? What came with that is, like what I hear from a lot of men too, is if they don't provide, and this is coming from the man, by the way, which means that we have this bug in our head, that if we fail to provide the finer things in life to our wife and our kids, we are not men. Who in the world said that? Who said that? What are you talking about? It's not a real question. Yeah. Like, who decided that that was the truth? That is an example of a system, or here's another example for you guys, actually. You guys get disgusting women like Sabrina Carpenter shoved down your throats, for example. I cannot go anywhere without seeing this woman now. She's on Dunkin' commercials. She's a skin in freaking Fortnite. Did you guys see that? So now we have freaking 10-year-olds paying $15.99 or whatever V-Bucks, and they know what they're doing when they're selling that to like teens. Yeah, they know what they're doing. But you get that shoved down your throat, or like, you know, now, and this is, I'm not looking at anyone, I don't know you. This is not whatever criticism. Lip fillers are now like, you must get a lip filler, or like I met a guy who did Botox on his forehead. I don't understand. I simply don't understand, you know. But that stuff is like, there's a system that convinces you are not enough until you do this. You guys, this is like something that now becomes ingrained in who we are. Not in our ruh, but in our what? In our nafs. The ruh, guys, is unchanging, undying, consistent, and it's made of what? Light. The rest of our nafs is animalistic. I'm not saying this is a negative thing necessarily, by the way. It's not. You don't have to destroy the nafs or get rid of it. It could be actually, you need to put them together. That's the whole point of that's how you find purpose, is mix them together. Your ruh couldn't do good deeds if it wasn't for your nafs. It couldn't. It couldn't. That's the vehicle it uses. It's literally in it, at least in this perspective. But the nafs can change. It can die. It can be cleaned. And it can get dirty. It can. You know, a way better example than this is Allah's example. He compares the ruh and the nafs arguably to like a fire lamp, a candle, whatever, like a lamp. And then you see like where there's like a flame or a candle, and then there's like that, like a piece of glass around. You ever see that before, like on a candle? The flame would be the ruh, because fire is fire. You can't corrupt fire. It's pure. Fire is as pure as water is, actually. But the glass, what can happen to the glass? It can shatter, it can get dirty. Spots can come up on it. And when it gets dirty, can you actually see the light anymore? When these people gain control over you, in this meeting in your heart, when these other parts of you, good or bad by the way, when they can take the seat, when they take control, that's like that glass becoming dirty, and now no light can come in and no light can go out. We need to dissect in our heads, what are these different parts of us, these different people at the meeting? What should I get rid of? What should I give more attention? This takes years of work. Every human being should be involved in this. You can call this tazkiyah, tasawwuf, purification, self-cleansing. This needs to be a constant in our heads if we're going to be people of purpose. A constant. I'm going to end with this beautiful ayah. I didn't even put it there. Oh, I did put it. I didn't forget. all of the, I want you to think, these are really heavy things. A lot of them are very heavy things. Like to decolonize a mind, it takes years probably. It takes a long time. These are not easy, simple conversations to be having with yourself, yeah? You know what Allah says, one of the purposes of revelation is, I need you all to listen, perk up. This is so beautiful. This is so beautiful. Listen to this. You know what Allah says is one of the purposes of revelation? وَيَضَعُ عَنْهُمْ إِصْرَاهُمْ وَالْأَغْلَالَ الَّتِي كَانَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ. And one of the purposes, I put one of the purposes of Qur'an, of revelation, is to relieve them from their burdens and the fetters that were upon them. You know what a fetter is? I just learned from Yaqub. A fetter is you know when someone's a slave and they have a collar on their neck, and you pull it and he follows or she follows? That's a fetter. Allah's saying, you're enslaved by stuff and you don't even realize it. You're enslaved by these beliefs that you need to let go of. You're enslaved by these things your system gave you that are garbage. You're enslaved by your own wrongdoing. You're enslaved by your trauma. You're enslaved by all these things that dirtied up this glass. And the purpose of revelation is to do what? Let go of all of these burdens and all of these fetters. That's what Qur'an is supposed to do. Have you ever heard Qur'an's purpose is that, by the way, ever in your life? Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that amazing? Qur'an is supposed to free you. That's the purpose of it. Free you so that you can live your purpose. What a beautiful thing Allah gave us, wallah. Qur'an is supposed to free you so you can fulfill your purpose. What more do you want? Wallahi, from Allah. What more do you want? We are coming upon the month of Ramadan. I'll get basic on you a little bit. Ramadan, the purpose of it is Qur'an. That is the purpose. The purpose of fasting is taqwa. The purpose of Ramadan is Qur'an, period, full stop. It's not fasting. The purpose of Ramadan is Qur'an. The purpose of Qur'an is to free yourself and to find your purpose. You guys seeing how I'm flipping those things now, right? You guys understanding the language now? When I say the purpose of Ramadan is Qur'an, I'm also saying the purpose of Ramadan is to free yourself from your shackles and your burdens and to find your purpose. So that you can fulfill what Allah wants you to be. And you know what that is? Shahidan, shuhada ala nas. Allah calls us witnesses over humanity. That's what we're supposed to be. Are we that? Are we really that? Am I that? I don't think so. I want to be. I will make sure I will be, inshallah. I will make sure of it. I'll make sure my daughter will be too, inshallah. I will make sure of it as much as I can. As much as I can. But that is something I need to commit to now and forever, and all of you need to do the same. And I'm sorry, I know I said it, and with this one last thing, I gave you the example Allah gave us last time, just to end on, I'm sorry, but a little bit of a scary note, but I have to. I want to be fair. I gave you the example of that Allah gave us last time of water coming down, mixing with trees and plants, and then they grow, and one thing we took from that is that water is purpose, and without purpose, what happens to plants? Without water, what happens to plants? It dies. Without purpose, what happens to you? The soul dies off. It doesn't, the soul's covered. You become a husk, you become nothing. Let me ask you this is scary now, listen. When a tree, imagine a tree, totally devoid of water, and it can't take any more water. It's dead, right? What is the only use you can get from a dead tree? The only use is what? Firewood. I'm not going to explain further. As there's a saying, "Al-labibu min al-isharati yafhamu," the intelligent one can take a hint. When a tree dies and it can't take any more water, the only purpose it serves is fire. It's got nothing else. You can't burn a tree you can't burn a trunk or wood with water in it. You ever try? It's annoying. The water will bubble up and it won't burn. It will not burn. You can burn it for a day, it won't burn. May Allah make us people of purpose. Make us people that we have water in our trunks, we have purpose in our hearts. And guide us to the truth and use Ramadan as a way to reignite our love and our relationship with the Qur'an. May Allah reward you guys. This is Surah Al-Asr, and then we'll open up with maybe 5 minutes discussion and we'll go home. You guys ready? أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. Allah says, I swear by time that's running out, every individual human being is drowning in loss except for those who believe and do the few good deeds expected of them, and invite others to the truth, and invite others with patience. May Allah make us of them. And I'll see you guys in 2 weeks, inshallah.